Today, my name is Lou Milanese. Thank you for coming to honor those four heroes that were murdered over in Benghazi. I'm going to ask Father Tudor to open us in a prayer, and Jane Cormier next will be singing the national anthem.
Let us pray. Eternal Father, strong to save, we offer thee praise and thanksgiving for our country. We ask you to bless all of those who are in our military, all of those who are in public service, all of those who call upon your name in truth and in justice. We ask you also to remember those that have died, that have given their life for this country, that their death may never be in vain, and that we may always know the price that freedom costs. We ask you to bless all who are present here and to keep us all safely in your loving care. We make this prayer in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen.
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 Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Before we get started, I'd like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, we know that 9/11, there was an attack on our embassy. It started about 9:42 in the morning, or in the evening, at the U.S. consulate in Benghazi. And the attack ended up lasting somewhere between 20 and 40 minutes, the first attack. And it claimed the lives of Christopher Stevens, our ambassador, and Sean Smith, his information officer. Now we know that there was fighting in between from the time that they were, the body of Sean Smith was taken back to the annex. And we know that the other two heroes, who were contractors, Glenn Doherty and Tyrone Woods, were killed the next morning by mortar fire about 5:15 to 5:30 in the morning. To these heroes, I'd like to just do a tribute, and let's just say something about each one. Glenn Anthony Doherty was a former Navy SEAL, born July 10th, 1970. He was a native of Winchester, Massachusetts, and he graduated Winchester High School in 1988. He became a pilot from the Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. Later, he joined the Navy. He served as a Navy SEAL in Afghanistan and Iraq. He left the Navy in 2005 as a petty officer, first class. He worked for private security companies serving in Iraq, Afghanistan, Israel, Kenya, and Libya. He was a contractor for the State Department in Libya and he co-authored the book, The 21st Century Sniper. Sean Smith, Information Management Officer, born 1978 and grew up in the Claremont neighborhood of San Diego, California. He was an only child. He graduated from Mission Bay High School in 1995 and enlisted in the United States Air Force in 1995. He served 6 years as a ground radio maintenance specialist and he was promoted to staff sergeant. He joined the Foreign Service and lived in the Netherlands with his wife Heather and 2 children, Samantha and Nathan. The day of the attack, that morning, he was a big gamer, and what he did, he ended up contacting some of his gaming friends, and he let them know something was going to happen that day. He could feel it because somebody from the Supreme Security Council over there, that is their loosely hung police force in Benghazi, was found taking pictures of the annex on his cell phone from a building across street. Ambassador John Christopher Stevens, born April 18, 1960, Grass Valley, California. He graduated Piedmont High School in 1977. He earned a BA in History at the University of California, Berkeley in 1982. He taught English in Morocco as a Peace Corps volunteer, 1983 to 1985. He graduated with a Juris Doctor, University of California Hastings School of Law in 1989. He received an MS from the National War College in 2010. He spoke English, Arabic, and French. He joined the U.S. Foreign Service in 1991 and served in Jerusalem, Damascus, and Cairo. He served in Libya 2 times, Deputy Chief of Mission 2007 through 2009, and Special Representative to the National Transitional Council in 2011, finally a U.S. Ambassador to Libya, May 2012. Tyrone Snowden Woods, former Navy SEAL, born January 15, 1971 in Portland, Oregon. Graduated Oregon City High School, 1989. He served 20 years in the Navy. He was a Navy SEAL in 2005, awarded the Bronze Star. He retired as Chief Petty Officer in 2007, served in Iraq, Afghanistan, the Middle East, and Central America. After the Navy, he joined the State Department as a part-time part of the diplomatic security. He served in Central America, as I said, in the Middle East. He was also a registered nurse and certified paramedic, serving at the Naval Medical Center in San Diego, California. He is survived by his wife, Dr. Dorothy Nerez Woods, and 3 children, Tyrone Jr., Hunter, and Kai. Kai was born just a few months before Benghazi. Starting March 28th and going all the way up to the event, dispatches were sent from Embassy Tripoli. They were sent to the Secretary of State, then Hillary Rodham Clinton, and they were saying that security was not adequate in Benghazi. They were, and in Tripoli. They were saying the Security Council and the February 17th Martyr Brigade, which was their form of the army in eastern Libya, was not reliable to protect them. These dispatches were lost or never acted upon. And for those of you, please, that are running for office, please do me one favor when you get there, not if you get there. There's Signella Naval Air Station. Every time I bring this up, I get crickets from the opposition. If you look out there, you will see a copy of Stars and Stripes, dated October 5th, 2011, approximately 10 to 11 months prior to the attack on the Benghazi consulate. 125 Marines, it was stated, was leaving their home in Stuttgart, Germany for their new home in Signella Naval Air Station. Signella Naval Air Station is in Sicily. It is 469 miles away from Benghazi. They had a ride. They were there that night. Why were they there? They were there to support AFRICOM against terrorist activity. Nobody talks about them. We hear about a special force that was going from Croatia to Sigonella Naval Air Station. They had 125 Marines there. Nobody brings that up. So please, find out that one thing for me, any of you that are running for office. Thank you again for your time here. Truthfully, as much as I love hanging out with you folks, and I think you're all great, I like climbing mountains. I only have 5 more and I'll have my 48 4,000 footers here. But I'm here today. Why am I here? Because somebody is getting paid much more than I am, and I'm doing their job here. And that's what bothers me. I'm not getting paid anywhere near as much as they were, as they are, but I'm spending time here away from things I want to do and away from time with my family. So thank you for your time, and let's keep up this fight. I want to introduce again Jane Cormier, who's running for State Senate.
Thank you, Lou. Thank you for what you're doing today, because it's important that we never forget, especially we never forget those that have served this country with such valor and courage. We're here to pay vigil today to the fallen heroes at Benghazi. The word vigil comes from the word vigilant, and it's rather ironic that we're here to pay tribute to the fallen at Benghazi who are fulfilling their service to our country by being vigilant during the pre-planned attack which happened on September 11, 2012. It is more than regrettable that we have a former Secretary of State who actually asked, what difference does it make? I find this personally so reprehensible, but totally also out of touch with the rest of America. The media machine would have us believe that this is all old news. They go along to get along. Nothing to see here, just move on. But it does make a difference. And we are here today to ensure that we do not forget those who were killed serving this country in Benghazi. It does make a difference. When Secretary Clinton said these words at an oversight hearing on the Hill, I was absolutely stunned. I could not believe those words came out of her mouth. We may have fallen to an all-time low by hearing those words. And certainly, if we believe those words, that those who died in service of their country do not deserve to have the truth uncovered, shame on us. Has the role of Secretary of State turned into nothing but a photo opportunity with words and glib speak that mean nothing, that mean absolutely nothing? And I guess we'll have to leave that for you to decide. The family and friends of those lost on September 11th and 12th, 2012, as that conflict lasted well over 12 hours, I am sure, do not think, what difference does it make? Can you imagine how the parents of those who died felt to hear those words come out of that woman's mouth at that hearing? How could a seasoned and lifelong politician even think those words? Never mind, speak them. Well, we will not forget. We will not quietly sit down and allow the propaganda machine to spin that this was a spontaneous attack. We will seek the truth, even if it begins with smaller rallies just like this, holding a vigil to remember we will not be silent and we will not go quietly into the night. Yes, Secretary Clinton, it indeed does matter for the families of Tyrone Woods, Sean Smith, Ambassador Chris Stevens, and Glenn Doherty. It matters. For the 4 Americans who were injured in this attack in Benghazi, it matters. And to those of us who value the service of those who defend and serve this country, it does indeed matter. May we never forget.
Thank you, Jane. Another speaker we're honored to have is a colonel. I still call him colonel, and I will, and I thank you all the time for your service. Gary Lambert, who's running for Congress.
And look, no need to get into. We all know why we're here. This is personal to me, though. It really is. That's why I'm here. Just wrapped up a 35-year career in the Marine Corps 5 weeks ago. And having been under attack in Iraq, I can only imagine what these men went through over there in Benghazi. Waiting for help. I'm used to help coming for me. When I served in the Marine Corps, they counted on America to come, and America was not there for them. And it's just a shame. And we can never forget. That's why we got a select committee led by Trey Gowdy, doing a good job, and we got to keep up the good work. Hey, look, I think we wish we all had more people out here today. It's unfortunate that we don't. Life is full of priorities. How you spend your money, how you spend your time. You know, today we just came from a parade in Ware. I got 50 other places I could be right now, running for Congress, all the way from Canada, all the way down to the Massachusetts border. I decided to be here. For those of you who are here, this was your priority today. It's my priority today. And let's remember, let's keep going on this. You know, Lou, I can't thank you enough, you and Janet, for keeping this thing going like this. Everywhere I go, from Newport to here, you're there. And keep up the good work. I want to thank you very much for allowing me to have a few words today. Appreciate it. Thank you.
We also have Jack Kimble with us today. Jack, would you like to speak?
I would. And most of you know me, and I've been to every one of these absent one. I did miss one, and I do apologize, Lou. I do also want to thank Lou and Janet. I mean, these guys are tireless, and there's no quit in them. And this is so important. What I typically do is I tell the story of Benghazi each time out. Because most of you don't know the true story about what really happened to these men and why. And why there's been such a cover-up. So let me begin with telling you the story of Benghazi as it played out. Admiral James Lyons came out. He was the whistleblower on this several weeks after this event occurred. It was very courageous of him to come out and let folks know what actually happened. When I found it out, I didn't want to put it out to anyone else because it was so sensational and outrageous. I thought, I better not do that. And it was only until I read the story as corroborated by the actual leader of the Al-Qaeda group that led the attack, where he confirmed what I'm about to tell you, did I decide to really go hard and let people know about what happened. And then further corroborated by a prior congressman, not from New Hampshire, who at a luncheon that I had the honor of attending with him, I pulled him aside, and I basically brought this up to him, and I told him what I knew, and I asked him, point blank, face to face, 2 feet away, was I correct? Is what I'm telling you the truth? And not only did he say yes, it was the truth, but that we needed to have an independent investigation on this, because you're never going to get the truth unless you do it. So Trey Gowdy is the right guy for this, there's no question. But here's what happened. I don't think any of us can understand the stonewalling that's going on here. Why we can't get to the truth. But when I tell you the reason why, you'll understand completely. You see, Barack Obama and Mohammed Morsi, head of the Muslim Brotherhood, are good buddies. And Mohammed Morsi wound up, temporarily anyway, as the president of Egypt until he decided to become dictator-in-chief. And about 30 or 40 million Egyptians decided, nah, this isn't going to work. And they came into the streets and got rid of this guy. And that's really what happened. But Morsi had asked President Obama, and was applying tremendous pressure, if he would release the blind shaky, you know, the guy who masterminded the first Trade Center bombing. He wanted him to be released from prison. Well, Barack Obama knew he couldn't really do that. Wouldn't settle well with most of the American people. So they worked a deal. And the deal was a prisoner exchange. And that was going to be the October surprise. The prisoner exchange was to have been our ambassador, Stevens, for Mohammed Morsi. You see, Ambassador Stevens wasn't supposed to be killed. He was supposed to have been captured, probably with a couple of others. And that was the plan all along. This attack was planned, coordinated. Hell, even the mortars that were hitting the annex, they were so accurate from the get-go, everyone knew that this was planned. There's no way you could find the range just on an experimental basis. They had the range. They knew exactly what was going to occur. So when the attack began, the call for help went out, and of course, all of the requests for help were denied. People were told to stand down. But one of the first phone calls that was made to Tyrone Wood, and he was up in the annex, about a mile away. And Tyrone wanted to go right away, prior Navy SEAL. And he's not about to leave anyone behind. But he's told to stand down. The attack's ongoing. The shooting is going. There's not much there to defend. The Libyans that were there took off. They're supposed to be defending the consulate. It wasn't really a consulate, by the way. It was a compound. So a second call was made. He's told to stand down a second time. Then a third call was made about 5 minutes later. He's told to stand down. He said, to hell with that. I'm not going to stand down. I'm going to go help. So he jumped in the van. He had another fellow with him. They drove down to the consulate. He gets out and starts picking up the weapons that were dropped by the folks that took off, the Libyan guards. And he started going after the terrorists. And he was doing such a darn good job of taking these guys down and working his way into the consulate. When he got in there, he broke the attack up all by himself. He didn't have any help at the time. When he got in there, he couldn't find the ambassador. But he had already found Sean Smith dead. Others wounded. This guy rescued all 28 people that were still in that consulate, got them out, and got them back to the annex, fighting the entire time. When he got to the annex, he goes on the roof. He goes up on the roof of the annex, and he waited. There was a lull because they had to reorganize this attack. So he got up there with a machine gun, just him, and waited. And then the second attack came on the annex a couple hours later. And he's alone, fighting like hell, and he put the word out to Glenn Doherty. And Glenn's a prior Navy SEAL, and Glenn was in Tripoli. And Glenn was told to stand down, that he couldn't go and help. Long story shortened, he said, to hell with you too. And Glenn Doherty went with a small team to the airport in Tripoli, and he's kind of refused any flight that would take him there, and he decided, you know what, I'm just going to kind of commandeer a plane. So I'd love to have seen that happen, that he and another 3 or 4 members of his team flew from there to Benghazi, whereupon they were held up at that airport. All the time, everything, all these roadblocks were put in front of people. Call, of course, simultaneously trying to ask for help, went also to the commandant of AFRICOM, General Ham. Well, General Ham was told to stand down. People don't know this. He was told to stand down. He wasn't going to. He was relieved of command, albeit temporarily. Same thing happened to an admiral off the coast. He was going to do it and send help to, and he was told to stand down because he was going to disobey orders, and he was relieved of command. Why in hell would we do this? Oh, we would do this because Barack Obama thought he knew the outcome. You see, he thought that what was going to happen was the kidnapping of Ambassador Stevens and eventually the prisoner swap, which he was hoping the American people would agree to, would occur. Nobody told Tyrone Wood about this, and even if they had, he would have done the same thing in my view. So Glenn Doherty arrives at the annex. He joins Tyrone Woods on the roof with his team, and they began to defend the annex. At least Tyrone got a little bit of help. But it was overwhelming numbers, and the mortar teams were accurate. They did decide to laze the mortar crew. They knew where they were, and they also knew that by doing that, usually help would come, and you'd have a AC-130 or something come up and take these guys out. They did it at high risk to themselves. Nothing happened. No help came, and they were killed on the roof by this mortar. You had brave Americans, Tyrone Woods, Glenn Doherty, who gave their last ounce of measure to make sure they left nobody behind. They didn't leave anyone behind. They rescued all 28 of those people and saved their lives at the expense of their own. And we, our government, betrayed those men. Not only that, we were selling and running guns in Libya to Al-Qaeda and Al-Qaeda affiliates. Sorry, folks, but aiding and abetting the enemy Has always been treason in my book.
right.
A little bit of Navy in me. And there this man still stands. And this congressman said to me, this takes this president down. This one event takes him down. Hell, any one of the others ought to too, but that is in fact what happened. In my view, treason was committed more than once in this particular instance. And we watched, our government watched this whole thing occur, real time. They watched those men die and did nothing to help them out. And you have seen this massive cover-up occur ever since. I want you to think for a minute about what those two men and the other small members of the team went through the entire time. This is the 7.5-hour event. To say that we couldn't have brought help is an absolute joke. Sigonella is very close, and there were many others. And we had carriers out there that could have easily sent FA-18s and other aircraft. They could have got there in plenty of time. And by the way, nobody could have predicted how long the attack was going to go. So you send the help anyway. You don't find reasons to not send help. You find reasons to send help. We did neither. We didn't do anything. We let them die. The other thing, to me, that's abhorrent is that all 28 of these people whose lives were saved, not one of them has come forward to help and defend and come out with the truth because they've been coerced and threatened by this administration. So at the end of the day, folks, at the end of the day, we have a big decision to make when we go to the polls. We've got to make sure that we put the right people in the Senate and the House and build the majorities to stop this man. In my personal opinion, impeachment's too good for him.
That's right.
There's a buddy sheriff of mine named Joe Arpaio in Arizona, I think would be happy to go in and arrest this guy and drag his butt out of there post haste, because that's what I think needs to happen. Won't. That's what I think needs to happen. Senator Bob Smith is here today. He's not going to speak. He's the most respectful man I've ever met with respect to the military. You have to remember what he did when he was in office. He was the head of the POW-MIA committee, and he was responsible for the recovery of many of our MIAs and certain POWs. And this is a huge, huge thing for him. He stands squarely for liberty, freedom, and America, free enterprise, but also making sure that our men and women in the armed forces have the best care and treatment and weapons that they may need. And I'm just telling you right now, you take a look around and see who's here today. And remember that when you go vote on September 9th and then in the general election. So anyway, that's a true story. I thank you again for the opportunity to speak. I'll keep coming every time you have one. I wish there were more people, but at least those of you who did come, thank you. Spread the word, because it's really important that we do not let these men's lives be spent in vain. All brave Americans. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. One more speaker we have planned, and that is a friend of mine, Mark Roy.
Thanks, Lou, and thanks for organizing these. It's a lot of work. Like you mentioned, we're not where we would rather be. Everyone has a better place to be. A lot of people are in those places because they're not here with us. This is an atrocity that needs attention kept on it so that justice can be served and dignity brought back to this nation. We don't leave people on the field of battle, and yet we did, and I think we did for a lot of reasons. Jack illustrated a lot of them. It's bigger than that. I think it was all about the election was coming up. They needed to avoid embarrassment. He'd said boldly that Al-Qaeda was on the run and Libya was a victory, both of which were not true. Couldn't stand the embarrassment right before the election. That's why they had to spin the video story. It was lie after lie. Susan Rice was marched out. All the news shows carried this like it held weight. They blamed this poor guy that made a parody video Saturday Night Live would have been proud of. And that's not what really went down. But they had to protect the administration at all costs. Re-election was paramount. I think one of the other reasons that there aren't more people here is that the media doesn't do its real job. And the media was supposed to be the watchdog of America, to keep the government honest, to let the people be informed of what was taking place in this country so we could prevent it and get a grip on it before it got a foothold. And and they're not doing their job. I brought a couple of handouts that are over on the side bench if people want to take a look or grab them. One of them is the media's incestuous relationship to this administration, and it lists by name, by news agency, who's related to who in the administration. And it's ABC News has President Ben Sherwood is the brother of Elizabeth Sherwood Randall, one of the top security advisors to the administration. CBS, his counterpart in CBS, President David Rhodes, is the brother of Benjamin Rhodes, key foreign policy specialist. ABC has another person. Jay Carney's wife is Claire Shipman. It goes on. And it's listed if you want to take a peek. It's an article that printed out. It's truth of who's related to who in the news. But if you've got relations in the White House, don't you want to take some extra steps to make sure nobody's embarrassed and they don't lose their job? Or you've got the same agenda. And so these networks don't carry this story. Fox was the only network to carry this story for 2 months, and everybody ridiculed them and embarrassed them until so much had dribbled out that the other ones were embarrassed into having to report on it. And they would give 38 seconds to Benghazi and 14 minutes to what Taylor Swift was going to wear to the awards show. The priorities are glaring. The other list that's over there is a list of the scandals this administration is currently riding. And I have to use a cheat sheet. I lose track. Everybody thinks it's 10 or 12. There's 10 pages over there stapled together. There's only 10 copies. Share if you can. Take them home if you want to. It's from Investment Watch Blogspot. It's pretty unbiased. It's just a tracking list of what's gone on. And I have to help myself. I got a pretty good memory. But when we were talking Fast and Furious, this one was second after that. Fast and Furious, if nobody knows, a lot of people don't know because the news doesn't carry these. Fast and Furious was illegal guns to Mexico under the premise that we could track the drug lords and find out where they lived by where the guns went. We don't know where the drug lords live already. We got drones everywhere. I have to check and make sure. One follows me, I think. I'm politically incorrect. Benghazi. This was a horrific event where we left Americans to die on foreign sand because it would have embarrassed us. And this was so important to the administration that he got on a plane the next day and shook hands and kissed babies in Vegas. Now really, the Department of Justice was targeting reporters and violating the First Amendment because the stories are getting a little too close to home, so you intimidate and shut them up too because they're not on the payroll with the other networks. He changed donation laws of the campaign so people could donate by credit card without tracking where those donations came from, what countries they originated in, and it violates every donation law of the campaigns in America. Nobody knows where that money came from still. The VA scandal. Our veterans are dying in veterans hospitals across this country, and he does what he always does. Oh, I didn't know. I just found out about this on CNN with you guys. I'm outraged. I'm going to get to the bottom of this. He's gotten to the bottom of nothing. I got to flip my card. Release the Taliban. We released 5 generals of the Taliban back to their people. Al-Qaeda's on the run. They're running back home so they can attack America again. We traded them for a deserter. Are you kidding me? The border security. America's border is wide open. We are pouring people in here at an outstanding rate of speed. 300,000 since April. And for perspective, that's double what we launched on D-Day. That's double the invasion we launched on Normandy Beach. That's how many people have come in since April. But when they come in, they vote for Santa Claus. They vote for the people that gave them free stuff, free phones, free housing subsidies, EBT cards. They're going to vote for Santa Claus. Those are Democratic voters, true and true, as soon as they get placed somewhere. Half of them are from the drug gangs in South America. Not a good idea. He was great with the foreign policy in Syria. He's been great with foreign policy in Egypt. He supports the Muslim Brotherhood. He refused to call the Fort Hood shooter an Islamic terrorist. Whose side is this guy on? And right after this, we had the Secretary of State, the Director of the CIA, the Secretary of Defense, the UN ambassador that had been used as a puppet, all run for the door. Everybody resigned and bailed off the boat before anybody could go to jail. Hopefully somebody still can, because somebody needs to. This is just horrific. And God bless you, Lou, for keeping these going. I know it's a pain, and it's a lot of work, and it's every few months. We've done them in the winter and frozen. We're doing them in the hot sun. But the word has to get out. The media doesn't do this. The media still isn't doing this. Where are those missing emails from the IRS? I left out the IRS. I didn't have room on my card. Illegal, abjectly, horrifically unconstitutional to target voter groups using the IRS as a financial Gestapo, and nobody's doing anything about it. And then conveniently, the person who's responsible hard drive crashes, so we can't find her emails. Coincidentally, all the other 6 people that were really involved, their hard drives had a problem too. There must have been a virus going around that day. And we're supposed to just believe that's the end of that. No, emails never disappear. There's IT people that are laughing, going, this is ridiculous. Now, finally, a federal judge has ruled that this is ridiculous, and the IRS will, under oath, testify within 30 days where those emails are and what's being done to find them. He does have the power to hold someone in contempt. He does have judicial power that Congress doesn't seem to have. And God bless them for trying to do their work, but it's 5 minutes per person. And when the Republicans get their chance to ask some tough questions, it's just getting to a good spot. And the witnesses have kind of stalled and said nothing. And when it becomes the Democrats' turn to ask a question, it's, gosh, how do you pick your tie each day? This must be tough for you. Thanks for your service. We're sorry you had to come up here for the big meanie heads in the Republican Party. And I don't really care whether you're a Republican or a Democrat or libertarian. I don't care. I don't care what hat you wear. I care that you're an American. And so the only criteria should be held to, is this good for America long term? And will we benefit from it? That's the only standard that should be measuring these bills that go through, not whose party it came from. I don't like yours because your hat's different. Where are we going? This nation is tumbling like Rome did. And unless we get a grip on it and fight back, we're going to lose this. The only thing we can do is thank the people that are running for office. I hope you get elected. Thank you for your service, those of you that have already served. We need people that are going to do the job they're sent there to do. The ones that aren't need to be kicked out and fired. If we have to hire Donald Trump to tell him, you're fired. You're not doing the job you were sent there to do. Call your congressmen, call your senators, call them every day. Make them hate going to work because the heat is so hot. They need to finally do what they're supposed to be doing because they're not. Write letters. Write the paper. Half of them won't print it because that's not their agenda. But keep the pressure on is the only way we're going to make headway on this. Because otherwise, silence is complacency and they think they can get away with it. And they just keep doing it, and they just keep doing it because nothing's been done. I don't know what else to say. There's so many scandals I could talk for the rest of the afternoon. They're on the list. Take one peek. Some of them I never even heard of. Some of them are ridiculous. We gave back a bust of Winston Churchill to England and insulted the hell out of them because they'd given it to us as a celebratory gift that's been in the White House on display for years. We don't really want to celebrate democracy leadership. We don't want that. We gave it back. We gave it back to them. Some of them are silly. Some of them are huge. These ones they listed are horrific. This is outrageous that we left men on the field of battle for political gain. So please do what you can. Please attend these when it's convenient. Sometimes when it's not, I drive an hour and a half to come here. You and maybe do almost as much. Thank you all for coming. Tell everybody you know and keep the heat on your elected officials. It's the only way we're going to do anything. Thank you.
Okay, folks, again, I can't thank you enough for coming. We'll keep up the fight. We'll do what we can. Help yourselves to some of these wristbands. Give them out. I want to run into people in New Hampshire and Vermont that have these on. I haven't run into a lot of them, but when I do, I know they've been to one of these rallies or talked to one of you.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you again.